All right, I have opted to add to my playlist of Hockey Hall of Famers that I have profiled. Today it's Marcel Dionne, so I don't have his name on the board because there's a lot of stuff up here. And Dionne is tied to Guy Lafleur, who was the number one draft pick. And then later on, Dionne would be overshadowed by some kid named Wayne Gretzky. And then towards the end, you have Gretzky, you have Lemieux. Marcel Dionne in almost any other era you would think would be greater thought of than he is. And it doesn't help that he played on some pretty bad teams. And he did. So he's drafted number 2 by the Detroit Red Wings. Now, Guy Lafleur went number 1 to the Montreal Canadiens. The difference between Montreal and Detroit at this point in time is massive. Montreal got Lafleur because the California Seals didn't think that the draft picks were all that big a deal. So they traded their number 1 draft pick because they didn't care. So stupid. And Detroit is just, they're bad. His first year, 78 games played, 28 goals, 49 assists, 77 points. Finishes third in Calder voting that year. He actually set a record with 77 points for points by a rookie that will be eclipsed numerous times. So it kind of gets buried now. But again, for his time, excellent. 72-73, plays 77 games with the Red Wings, 40 goals, 50 assists, 90 points. There's no playoffs in any of this because playoffs, be lucky if they can win a game. 73-74, he plays 74 games, 24 goals, 54 assists, 78 points. And again, no playoffs. And at this point, Marcel Dionne, like anybody else wearing a Red Wings jersey, not happy. Year 4, 80 games played, 47 goals, 74 assists, 121 points. He wins the Lady Byng Trophy. So congratulations to him for that one. However, no playoffs. He's very vocal at this point about how he's not happy with the Detroit Red Wings. And so the Red Wings, because they also don't want to give him a raise, because why would you want to give the guy a raise just because he had 121 points? So because Detroit at this point in time is being run really, really poorly, they trade him. June 23rd, 1975, he is traded to the LA Kings, along with a guy who will play 4 games for the Kings. 4, Terry Harper, Dan Maloney, cash, and the number 31 pick, Jim Roberts. And anytime that you see a trade and there's cash involved, all I think is, oh man, that's got to be, they must need some money. And then you look and you see it's Detroit and you go, yeah, it checks out. So going to the Kings, he goes from one team that's been struggling to a team that kind of has something going for it. Right around when they were wearing this jersey. He will become part of what is called the Triple Crown line, which was Dave Taylor, Charlie Simmer, and Marcel Dionne in the middle. One of the best lines in hockey. Sadly, the team that was behind that top line was never great. The goaltending was never fantastic, and therefore there were some issues. His first year, though, 80 games played, 40 goals, 54 assists, 94 points. And he gets into the playoffs. His first playoff appearance, plays 9 games, 6 goals, 1 assist, 7 points. Sky's the limit for Marcel Dionne, or so you would have thought coming out of that year. 76-77, plays 80 games, 53 goals, 69 assists, 122 points. He gets the Lady Byng Award again. 9 games, 5 goals, 9 assists, 14 points, and he is a first-team All-Star in the NHL. He has arrived. 77-78, 70 games played, 36 goals, 43 assists, 79 points. Only plays 2 playoff games that year, doesn't get a point. And again, this is where I can mention he is really overshadowed by Guy Lafleur and what the Montreal Canadiens are doing. And agreeably, and I don't think I've done the Guy Lafleur video yet, but eventually I'm going to do the Guy Lafleur video as well, because these two cross over. So I could make the argument Lafleur should be next if I'm going to talk about Dionne in this one, right? So 78-79 is an important year for him. 80 games played, 59 goals, which is his career high, 71 assists, 130 points. It is the first of 3 straight 130-point seasons that he would have. He wins what is now the Lester Pearson Award. At the time, it had a different name, but just for the sake of continuity, I will refer to it as the Pearson Award. 2 games, 1 assist in the playoffs. He's a second-team All-Star. So, again, tremendous numbers regular season. Postseason, he's now played a grand total of 22 postseason games through 8 years of his career. And it's through no fault of Marcel's that the teams he was on just weren't able to do much of anything in the playoffs. And it gets worse in 79-80. He gets 80 points, 53 goals, 84 assists, 137 points. He wins the Art Ross Trophy. He is tied in points with Wayne Gretzky, but has more goals than Wayne Gretzky. So he gets the Art Ross. He also wins the Lester Pearson Award for MVP as chosen by the NHL Players Association. 4 games, 3 assists in the playoffs. He is a first-team All-Star, and that is the last time he'll be a first-team All-Star. Because as a center, he has to compete with Wayne Gretzky. And Gretzky just kind of went, that's mine. That's how he was with all the trophies during the era he played in. I'm surprised he didn't get Vezinas and Norrises while he was at it. And again, it really overshadows what he does because he is an amazing player. 80-81, 80 games played, 58 goals, 77 assists, 135 points. That would be the equivalent of probably like 110 now. 4 games in the playoffs, 1 goal, 3 assists, and he's a second-team All-Star behind that Wayne Gretzky kid. So, again, his point totals are crazy. So good. And yet, the overshadowing is there. And I remember that as a kid because, Dionne was known as a star player, but man, it was all just Gretzky. Everywhere I looked, it was just Gretzky. I even had a Gretzky poster as a little kid. I'm trying to think of who that was through, because Bob Lenarduzzi was on that poster too. Somebody somewhere watching this is going to be like, man, I had that poster. 7-Up. It was a 7-Up poster that had Wayne Gretzky in the middle of it, and Bob Lenarduzzi was on there as well. He was my favorite soccer player at the time, because I followed that as well. And Marcel Dionne, I don't remember him being anywhere on it, because Dionne wasn't getting all those deals. 81-82, 78 games played, 50 goals, 67 assists, 117 points. Marcel Dionne is part of something special in 82. The miracle on Manchester. So the LA Kings being down and out against the Oilers and coming back with this amazing comeback victory, and then they won that series and knocked out the powerhouse Oilers in 1982, just in time to get knocked out by the Vancouver Canucks in the second round. Almost said third round and stopped myself. Second round. LA ended up getting knocked out by Vancouver. So Marcel Dionne's best chance is foiled by the Vancouver Canucks. But man, that Kings team had a horrible record. I think they had, 63 points that year? It was not great. And Marcel Dionne, again, with that Triple Crown line, they're great. They're fantastic. And behind them, it's kind of a dog's breakfast. 82-83, 80 games played, 56 goals, 51 assists, 107 points. No playoffs. Again, it's a bad team. So he goes from a bad team here to a team that looks like they might be doing bad. Nope. 83-84, he plays 66 games, 39 goals, 53 assists, 92 points. Good season for him there. And you'll notice no awards. He was playing in All-Star games right up until 85 was the last All-Star game he was in. But he's overshadowed. The Kings before Gretzky got there were really a non-entity. Part of the reason I think why they had to change from this jersey when Gretzky got there, it was just there was a public perception that the Kings weren't any good. So Gretzky gets there, you rebrand the whole team, and you start fresh. And it was a really smart idea because Marcel Dionne played through pretty miserable seasons on a miserable team. 84-85, 80 games played, 46 goals, 80 assists, 126 points. He plays 3 games in the playoffs, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. Keep in mind, round 1 was best of 5. Odds are LA got swept that year. 85-86, 80 games played, 36 goals, 58 assists, 94 points. But he's starting to get tired of LA at this point. Think about it. He's been dealing with losing all the way back to 1971. We're now up to 1986, and he's probably thinking, I would like to have a chance to win something. So somebody comes calling, 67 games into 86-87 season, 24 goals, 50 assists, 74 points. And general manager Rogie Vachon sits down with Phil Esposito, at least over the phone, I believe they said they talked this out, and they work out a deal for Marcel Dionne. He was traded with Jeff Crossman and the 1980 number 60 pick, which would be traded to Minnesota. It was Murray Garbutt. Bobby Carpenter and Tom Laidlaw were going the other way. The interesting thing is Bobby Carpenter had barely played any games for the Rangers at all. And he's on the move again. And he wouldn't play that long in LA either. Carpenter moved around quite a bit. And it's a move that was made by Phil Esposito with the idea of, I am tired of waiting for the New York Rangers to win a Stanley Cup. They haven't won one since 1940, and gosh darn it, we're going to get a Stanley Cup here. And it didn't work out. Dionne struggled early on with the Rangers, played 14 games that year, 4 goals, 6 assists, 10 points. And then in the playoffs, he played 6 games, 1 goal, 1 assist for 2 points. Then in 87-88, he only played 67 games, had 31 goals, 34 assists, 65 points. But there was a highlight to this. So while this is the twilight years of Dionne's career, and they even say he's finishing out his career here, he played with Guy Lafleur, who he was drafted right after in 1971, and they both had a goal in the same game on October 21st, which is historic. If you think about it, they're both 1971's top 2 draft picks. They both end up in the Hall of Fame. They get goals, and this is why the New York Rangers would struggle. They really struggled. The idea was, and the funny thing is, when Esposito makes this trade, he even said, well, I'm trying to do here by taking Dionne in his twilight years what the Rangers did for me when I was traded from Boston. So the Rangers traded for Esposito, I think it was 77, 78, and Phil finished out his days as a Ranger. Or no, it was before that. But it didn't work. It kind of did. I mean, they went on a run, and again, Phil Esposito's a guy that I will profile at some point. It worked, but the ultimate goal of a Stanley Cup didn't, and it didn't work here either. But at this point, 67 games, and he's slowing down. Marcel's definitely slowing down. And then 88-89, at the age of 37, he plays 37 games, 7 goals, 16 assists, 23 points. He ended up actually playing 9 games in the International League that year, had 13 assists, but played 9 games in the IHL. And that's where his career ends. He ended up being put in the Hall of Fame in 1992, his first year of eligibility. His career ends with him playing 1,348 games, which is not too shabby. 731 goals, which sits 5th on the overall list. 1,040 assists, which is 11th on the all-time list. 1,771 points, which is 6th on the overall list. And again, pointing out he didn't play on great teams. He only played 49 playoff games in his career, 21 goals, 24 assists, 45 points. So Marcel Dionne, I don't think that his overall career numbers are respected as much as they otherwise would have been, because he's overshadowed by Gretzky, overshadowed by Lafleur, and of course this is the era where people say, well, everybody was scoring goals at that time, so it doesn't really matter. But an impressive guy, and there you go. There's another Hall of Famer profile. I have to say, it's a nice jersey. It's just they didn't win a whole lot during that era, and it's too bad. It really is. This isn't the original jersey they wore. This is the 80s with the yellow down the sleeves. Originally, they didn't have the sleeves like this. Anyway, there you go. Marcel Dionne, Hall of Famer. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching. I will talk to you again soon.